began to read the scriptures with a new light when I finally saw that the Lord told the Pharisees that these Old Testament stories, which is what they had to read, were really about Him. And so every story in the Old Testament is a picture of who the Lord is. And even in the New Testament, the Apostle James wrote that the only place we see the word religion in the whole Bible, in our English translation, is in the book of James. And he said, true religion, undefiled, is this. Now that religion, maybe by definition, is a system by which we hope to make ourselves acceptable to God.
Yeah.
And there are thousands of these systems. The only problem with all of them, they may have good intentions. I really do want to be acceptable to God. The problem is it comes from sinful man. And there's nothing a sinful man can do to make himself acceptable to God. So James said, there is a religion that is acceptable to God. Would you like to know what it is? And here's what it is. He said, visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction and keep yourself unspotted from the world. That's it.
There you go.
And of course, that's just a way of saying what Jesus said, the great commandment in the Old Testament was, love God. And then he said the second one is equal to it, love your neighbor. And so he said those two together are the most important and the greatest command. In fact, he said, if you do that, you have fulfilled the whole scriptures. So he said, all the law and the prophets are fulfilled by these two things, love God and love your neighbor. So I guess my goal is to pursue that idea. How do I love God? How do I love the neighbor? And of course, to explain the situation was the Good Samaritan story, if you're familiar with that. A man who was considered by the religious leaders of the day to be a worthless, no good dog, they called him, found a man that was hurting in terrible trouble and had no hope of survival. And he gave up everything he had that day to help the man with no hope for anything to come back to him. He didn't ask for any recompense or anything. He just wanted to help the man because he loved the neighbor. And in demonstrating that, he showed that he loved God. The religious leaders of the day did not do anything for the man that was hurting. Mm-hmm. And so the essence of what the Lord said, this is what fulfills what God wanted. Love God, love your neighbor. And that man who helped a friend, or not a friend, helped somebody he didn't even know, and had no chance to ever recover any of his cost. His cost was not only the cost of helping that man, but he gave up his own business for the day, and literally, more than that, he put himself in great danger because he was in an area that was inhabited by thieves and robbers and murderers, and spent extra time there to help the man who needed help. So he literally laid his life down for the other man. Of course, that's a picture of what the Lord has done.
Amen.